Hi, everybody. Welcome to Capital to the Coast BNI. My name is Mike Manning. Each week, we bring you a local small business success story from one of our 40 plus chapters in North Carolina, stretches from the Triangle, which is Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, all the way to Coast, where we have Wilmington and Southport, Oak Island, and Jacksonville, and all the towns in between. If you're not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. And each week, our goal is to help our fellow members make some money. And our local business success story this week is Ronny Kirkman Jr. with Eneco East. They're an HVAC company. Ronny is a sales specialist. He is in CCO6 business in the Bern. They meet Wednesdays at 8 a.m. at the Elks Club in New Bern. Ronny is the current vice president. He's going to stay in that role in the commercial HVAC seat. And Ronny, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing well. I'll tell you this though, we found out pretty early on that it's a good thing I'm not in IT with Eneco East. Huh?
Yes. Yeah, we had a little challenge here before he came on the air, and that's why we have Amnon here, because Ronny and I added up were like a 1 out of 10 in technology, I think so. But anyways,
A
glad.
savant, technologically, I am not.
Yep. So real quick, we've got some storms along the coast. How does
Yep.
that impact the HVAC world when we have big storms?
Big storms like this could create opportunities to help people replace units that are damaged when storms come through. A lot of times in these instances, we work hand in hand with electricians, have power outages, things that cause components in these units to go bad. Uh, Typically, we would have to go in and do assessments to determine if the components are replaceable or if in a particular instance units become submerged, things like that, then that would indicate a need to probably look at replacing the entire unit.
Anything we need to do as homeowners or tenants during a big storm to look for or look after the storm, anything like that?
Um, Really, no prep work. When your units sit outside, they just are what they are. You could prepare in advance if you're on the coast by putting your units up on platforms. A lot of code is getting to where it really requires that in some instances, depending on where you are located in the flood zone. But typically, things that are on the ground, there's nothing you can do about it. Hope and pray the storm goes around.
All right, so tell me about Ronny Kirkman Sr.
Ronny Kirkman Sr. So my dad put me on a tractor at 5 years old. We farmed growing up. I joke with people, but it's not a joke. I'll be 56 next month, and I've been working 50 years of my life. A lot of people would not appreciate that, but I can honestly say, Mike, that my dad started me on the farm at that age, really instilled a work ethic in me that I worked hard to pass along to my kids. It's something that you don't see commonplace in a lot of youth today. Honestly, I wish most people would send their kids to a tobacco field to work, over a summer or two. It really does give kids a new perspective. It really kind of squashes entitlement and helps you to understand that you have to earn what you have. I mean, work is a necessary part of life, and my dad instilled that in me early, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, as I get older, my wife and I laugh about this. There's certain things everybody should do at some point in time. Like we believe, probably in high school or right after high school, everybody should work 1 year in the hospitality world so they know they learn how to deal with people. And then when they get out of the hospitality world and they go to a restaurant or whatever, they'll know how to treat people, what to tip, when to tip, and just learning what that's like and knowing that people, a customer can get uh, unhappy real quick over the goofiest thing, which you had nothing to do with, but you've got to deal with it. So, and I think farming's a lot that along those lines as well. I think we all need some outdoor hard work to understand. Okay, I survived that.
Yeah, I would agree. I've never been in the hospitality industry per se. I did work at a grocery store, for a little bit after we stopped farming. So I learned how to deal with the public and really cater to, like I said, needs that often aren't really your responsibility, but they're the customer. And as the story, idea goes, they're always right, correct? So there were often times when I helped customers in that grocery setting. I actually was a produce clerk. So I had nothing to do with, where's the chili, where's the Coke, but I spent a lot of hours helping people find those things.
Yeah, it's if you look for the sign that says Coke or soft drinks, take a left. Yeah.
I really couldn't say that though to customers. Like,
Yep,
hey
I know.
man, don't be silly. Read the sign.
Yep, I know. I know. And then when you're pointing
Yeah.
down the aisle, and I'm one of those, I'm a bad looker for things. I'll walk right past it. I scan very fast. My attention span is
Oh,
low. And I swear I didn't see it, and I'll go find somebody, and they'll walk me right to where I was. I'm like, man, I really appreciate this. Thanks.
I laugh because I'm the same way, and my wife will confirm that.
Hmm. Yep. I
She tells me I'm not looking or listening wholeheartedly.
Yep. I'm one of those when I see a list of things, I start from the bottom up because if I start at the top, my mind wants to get to the bottom so fast. I just learned start at the bottom and work my way up. So,
There you go.
all right.
I tell
So,
you what, Mike. I also think the military is
yep,
a wonderful thing as well.
I agree. I agree with you on that.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
did 6 years right out of high school, and I
Cool.
don't regret a minute of it.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So, waking up early to bother you. Of course, on the farm, you had no choice.
Yeah, we were up at sunrise every day anyway. So,
Yep.
and that remains for me sleeping. I sleep in on the weekends. I sleep until around 7
Yeah.
sometimes.
And you feel guilty, right?
Usually, I get up thinking I could have done a lot already had I not slept in.
Yeah. Now, did you have to milk 2 cows before you went to school?
Actually, no. So we did not have any cattle on our farm. We were tobacco, corn, peanuts, and soybeans. That's what we
Okay.
farmed.
So, what'd you have to do before you went to school? Anything?
Typically during school, my dad kind of let me just do the school thing. But as soon as we were out in the summer, when my buddies were going to the pool and hanging out and riding dirt bikes, no,
No.
not me. I was on the farm.
There you go.
So we were sun up to sundown, and then on the way home, we'd stop by the half-acre garden we have, and we harvest what was right in there. So it was a good 11, 12 hour day,
Yeah,
6 days a week, a lot of times.
you didn't have any trouble sleeping, did you?
No, sir, none at all.
All right, so you are a sales specialist at Eneco East. You've been in professional sales for over 30 years. There's some skill sets we get that I believe are hereditary. I think music and art are, and so is sales. So, who did you get that gene from? Because that's not an easy life.
You know, my dad would tell you that he couldn't sell, sweaters to Eskimos. My grandfather on my mother's side, he had the gift of gab. He would talk with anyone, anywhere. And I kind of inherited that. And honestly, Mike, for the 30 plus years I've been in professional sales of some form, I don't focus on trying to sell a product. I just try to sell myself. I figure if I can go in and create an atmosphere where people are comfortable around me and can build a relationship from that perspective, that's where I've found success.
When I was doing some research this weekend, I found that, and I actually have this written down here. Because you're right, there's a lot of times, and we as business owners, we're guilty of this. But as we get better and more successful in business, we're not so quick to sell somebody something they don't need. So I'm
Correct.
assuming at Eneco East, you walk into houses where, sir, you're good with this. You're, in a couple of months, I'm gonna need to come back and do this, but right now you don't need anything. So, how does that help you grow a book of business by talking yourself out of business?
Okay. Well, first point, we are primarily we're a commercial
Mhm.
HVAC service and
Yeah,
maintenance company.
that's right.
We have a small bit of residential that we do. We don't go out seeking residential. Typically, the residential we have are business owners who we take care of their business, and then they ask us, "Hey, would you mind doing our house as well?" But to your point, um, honesty goes a long way. Honesty shows integrity. And when you are willing to tell a customer what they need rather than what would make you a few bucks right now, it is very impactful in creating trust with that person, with that customer, and creating a scenario where they're comfortable with you, they trust what you tell them, and they understand that you're not there just trying to make a quick buck. I've always called that the hit and run tactic. You know, get as much as you can, as quick as you can, and then move on to the next one. That is never a good business practice in my mind. I would always rather look, I've got people that I'm talking with now in my development here in Craven County. I have people that I've been talking with for a year that haven't bought a thing. A lot of times when I have interaction with these people, we might not even talk about their HVAC. I'll stop in, ask them how the kids are doing, how was their kid's baseball game, how was him and his wife's trip, or she and her husband's anniversary dinner, or whatever. Just get to know people, create relationships on a personal level, and then wait for the opportunity for the business to present itself.
Yeah, and again, going back to my attention span, I have commercial seat written down here, and what did I do? I went straight to residential, so I appreciate that.
It's
But
okay.
yep, but that's a different ask then because with homes, it's I think it's more of a quicker transaction, but I guess when you get with businesses, you know it can take a while. So you've got to stay motivated to keep going out to talk to as many people because it takes a little bit longer to close a deal. Am I reading that right?
It can, Mike, but you have these scenarios also. I mean, it's pretty individualized. You have some scenarios where you walk in, a place may have six package units on a roof, and they've been having trouble with one for 6 months, and you go up and you realize, well, this compressor's out. It's a 10-ton unit. It's going to cost them, $21,000 to replace this unit. Um, a compressor would do the job, but that's going to cost them $6,000 by the time they do that. Once you get the compressor running properly, it's going to reveal other problems in the system that you're probably going to have to come back and spend more money on. The unit's 16 years old, so do you want to spend six to possibly $12,000 band-aiding something up, or do you want to go ahead and just rip it off and say, okay, we know it's coming? You do that, you may get another 3 years out of the unit, or you can go ahead and make the investment that should be made, and that is to replace the unit. However, for me, I will give the customer the options just like I presented them there. And I'll say, what would you rather do? What do you think is the best investment for your money?
What does a new unit cost?
Like I said, a 10-ton unit, by the time there are variables. If it's on the ground, it's not going to be as much as if you have to get a crane to put it on the roof. Um, 10-ton unit anywhere from 17 to $22,000.
Wow. Are you guys having any, not to get political, don't want to jump on a
Yeah.
soapbox here. Are you guys having trouble getting parts and everything?
We have issues getting some units, but honestly, that's not directly related to tariffs, at least that we can see at this point. Um, that has been an issue since I've been in the industry. You just have times of ebb and flow where it's just more difficult to get units than at other times.
So a normal week for you looks like what?
Um, so I'll generally start thinking about work on Sunday evening, which is annoying to my wife sometimes because I'm looking at emails and thinking about what I've got to do this week. But Monday, I'll typically every day I pretty much I'll get into the office around 7 a.m. Uh, check on emails, just kind of give myself a refresher on what's going on for the day. Monday, I go in and look at anything that could be hanging out from last week. I try to get my weeks closed out pretty definitively, but inevitably there's some things that just carry over. So figure out, what my day's looking like Monday, go over my schedule for the week. I try not to schedule appointments first thing Monday morning because that's kind of my overview time. And then throughout the week, I try to keep things lined up, meeting with potential customers, meeting with business developers. That's been a big thing for me over the last year here in the New Bern area, as we've been on a campaign project to try to ingrain Eneco's footprint here more solidly. So my week really consists of business development, site surveys for opportunities to present planned maintenance options when they become available, and just staying in contact with the people here in Craven County primarily. That's what my week's been looking like for the last year.
How many networking events do you get to each week?
Typically 3 to 4 per week is where I sit.
Right. And so, what got you into BNI?
I was actually I spent a couple of months old school, just cold calling. And I found out fairly quickly in Craven County that cold calling is running into a brick wall, honestly. Craven County people like to do business with people they know.
Mhm.
So, understanding that pretty quickly, I was not familiar with BNI at all. I joined the Chamber of Commerce here. I actually went in to talk with Kevin about setting up maintenance on the building that they're in downtown New Bern. And Kevin basically had me signed up for the chamber pretty much before I walked out of the place. So I got involved with the chamber, started going to their events. They have multiple events each month. And there I met Anne Marie Devaney. She is our treasurer and secretary at our '06 BNI chapter. And I met John Ipock. He is our power teams coordinator for our chapter. And those guys, they just said, "Hey, man, you're pretty outspoken. You seem very approachable. We'd like to talk with you about another networking opportunity that goes on here in town." So I'm like, "Sure, tell me more." They told me about it. I went to a chapter meeting. Carol and everyone was so nice there. And I'm like, "Man, these guys are putting on a pretty good show for me." That was my initial thought. And said, "Would you guys mind if I come back next week just to kind of see if I saw what I think I saw?" They said, "Sure." So I do that, and it's the same. And tell my boss, I'm like, "Hey, Josh, we need to consider this." He said, "Man, if you feel good about it, let's do it." So there you go.
Yeah, Carol and Anne Marie have been on the show before. IPOC's on the list because I know there's some good stories there with him. So,
Yeah.
uh, do you do you have to be licensed HVAC to do what you do?
I have to have a basic license in order to handle refrigerant, and that's something I went through it's a basic school program. We did it online through Pitt Community College, and that's where I got that basic. That way it's rare that I have to actually handle refrigerant. I will go on site with where our guys are working. My customers, I try to maintain relationship with my customer as well as our technicians and kind of bridge that gap. So I'm available to do those things if they need me to do so. It's typically not a requirement, but it's something that our company does ask us to do as sales guys. That way we can pitch in where we're needed.
It's always interesting when I talk to business owners and sales professionals like yourself, how you view your competitors. And I get all kinds of answers all over the board, Ronnie. How do you view your competitors, and how does that affect impact what you do and how you do it?
A lot of people have negative outlooks, negative comments about competitors. I will say that there are competitors in our field that do a fantastic job. There are competitors in our field that um, I have seen and heard some unethical things, but that happens in every field, right? For me, when a customer tells me they have a provider and they're happy, my first response to that customer is, "That's fabulous. I'm glad that you're being taken care of,
Mm.
and I'm glad that you're loyal to the one taking good care of you. Because what that tells me is if that I ever have the opportunity to earn your business, then you will remain that loyal to me as well. And competitors that are good keep you on your toes. So I think it pushes me honestly.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't mind good competition, and a lot of people or enough people will tell me that their own competitors themselves, and it's one of those lines, and there are a lot of lines people throw. I was like, oh, I just try to get better each week, and things like that. It's like and you got to know the person before you can understand. Okay, they really mean that. But you probably, as a sales professional, not asking for numbers, you probably have a goal to hit every quarter and every year.
Yes, all of our sales team, we are handed a list that this is your goal. It's not be all end all if you don't hit it, but it's a projected goal that you work towards. And of course, the better you do, the more that goal can increase. But our company is really good about setting reasonable goals. And quite honestly, for me, in the role that I have played with Eneco in this campaign, trying to develop New Bern the way I've been, um, I have a set of numbers that have been given to me. There's not so much emphasis on the numbers. It's just to kind of keep me in line with the other salespeople on the team. But everything is taken into consideration. My numbers are strictly uh, maintenance program based. Like we'd like you to aspire to sell X amount of dollars in maintenance programs for this year. But I actually with the relationships that I'm building in New Bern, I have a lot of people ask me, do you insert whatever here? And my response typically is, yes, we do. Unless I know we don't, then I'm always honest with the customer that is beyond our scope of capabilities or interest. But with that information, I basically go in and say these are the things that we can do, and anything that brings income to Eneco East in that regard that is not associated with maintenance. The bosses are still looking at that. They understand it and they appreciate it. So that gives you some leniency if you don't quite hit the numbers on the maintenance side.
Are you the type of person when your bosses give you the number for the year, do you quietly tell yourself, "Oh, I can go 10% over that. That's my goal to me."
My goal is always to go over it. There have been times that I've not done that. There have been times when I haven't met it, but you just keep pushing, man.
And that lifestyle and that mindset is interesting because, first of all, small business ownership is not for the faint of heart. And anything that closely gets up to 100% commission, not for the faint of heart either. So it kind of keeps your attention, doesn't it?
It really does.
Do you remember your first client and the first deal you closed?
With Eneco,
Yep.
yes, it was an insurance agent in Greenville, North Carolina, or Winterville, actually. She just had a small insurance agency. She had two HVAC units that she said she'd like to get a proposal on what maintenance would look like on those two units. And I went out and gave her the numbers. Wasn't much. Two units probably wasn't, $500 maybe, and just small little split systems. And she's like, Ronnie, I'd like to do this. And I felt so proud. I went to my boss smiling. He's like, great, only X amount thousand to go till you meet your quota this year.
I like that. And by the way, we have a core group in Winterville. I may connect you with the folks up there. See if you've got some folks in
Okay.
the Winterville area. Your first true sales job for a paycheck was what?
Um, Depends on the perspective that you come from. So after we farmed, like I said, I worked as a produce clerk in a grocery store. Um, I had to set up our produce in a way that it was attractive to customers.
Mm.
We had kind of basic this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. But I did have autonomy to present the produce, the fruits and vegetables, in a manner that, would be attractive. So I guess technically that would be my first opportunity at sales where I received a paycheck. If you get more into the traditional salesman role, I would say once I started with a company called One Source Communications located in Greenville, North Carolina, um, I had an opportunity to do some upselling when I was out in the field. I was kind of a liaison between our people that handle transitioning people from one service to another and the team in the field that actually made that happen. So in those instances, opportunities to upsell particular um, and not things that people didn't need, just things that we saw that would make their business run more smoothly. An opportunity to do that.
Do
That
you
was back in 2000.
do you remember the first deal you closed at that job, and how happy were you?
Uh, wow. That is stretching back, Mike. The other is stretching, but I can honestly say there were so many at that place. I do not remember the first one. That sound bad?
Nope, not at all. It now in previous sales roles before Eneco East, how long had a client stayed with you?
Um, I had clients for, well, prior to Eneco, I worked for a company selling fire apparatus. Those were long term, you know, very long term sales cycle. So that was some instances there where I talked with customers for a year and a half before they ever pulled the trigger on buying a product. And then after the product was built, it was another year plus in that time because that was during COVID. So multiple years.
Mm. Yep, no, I'm with you on that. So tell me your wife's name.
Her name is Laura.
All right. So I always enjoy asking guests on the show, how did you and Laura meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
Um, I I think we're pretty similar in our recollection. Um, apparently, when I was that kid on the internet says apparently. So apparently, I when I was working at the grocery store, my wife does tell the story that she remembers going in there because she lived pretty close. I did not know who she was, but she says she remembers seeing me and thinking that I was a pretty handsome dude. That's her saying now, Mike. That's
No,
not me
it
blowing my own horn.
it works. Yep.
I tell everybody I got the best end of that deal by a long way. So I'm glad she found me handsome. When my recollection when we first actually met and had a conversation, my mother worked at the Belt Department Store in Williamston, North Carolina, and that's where the grocery store was that I worked. We lived in a community about 8 miles outside of Williamston. But my mother worked there, and my father and my brother and myself were there to visit my mom one weekend. And I looked out over the rail. We were up in the section where the staff works, and I looked down over the rail, and I saw this incredibly good-looking young lady looking in jeans downstairs. And I made the comment something like, "I'd really like to talk to that girl." And my dad said, "You won't do it." So I said, "Yes, I will." He challenged me. So I went down and my mom said, "Where are you going? Grab me a Dr. Pepper." Long story short, I grabbed the Dr. Pepper, stopped on the way back, introduced myself to my wife. After much begging, I finally got her phone number and I got back upstairs with my mom's Dr. Pepper, which was hot at that point. And according to my mother, she says that my comment was, "I'm going to marry that girl someday." And about probably 8 years after that, it happened.
All right. Where was the official first date?
We went to Little Washington.
Mm,
I picked her up. She invited me over to her house to meet her parents. We did some old fashioned parlor courting.
good.
Hung out. Yeah, hung out. We chit chatted for, I figured I'd be there for 30 minutes, meet her mom and dad or whatever. I think I stayed there a couple of hours. had good conversation with her, with both of her parents. And I said, so what about that date now? And she's like, I think I'd go out with you. So we went to Washington. I had probably 40 bucks in my pocket. Out of that, I put gas in my truck. I bought us a medium pizza at Pizza Inn there, and we went and saw the movie Three Men and a Baby. And I had money left at the end of the night. You couldn't do either one of those
Nope.
three things for $40 these days.
No, just filling up your car, right? Just
Yeah. Filled my truck up this morning. It was $49.
Yep. Oh, Pizza Inn. Yeah, man, those were the days. We'd do that too.
Yep.
I was on a swim team here in Raleigh where I grew up. And after our
Yes,
swim
sir.
meets, we'd go, it was Pizza Hut. And we go down there and just, yeah, eat and eat and eat and felt like we spent $7, something like that.
Yes,
If
sir.
that. Yep. Oh man. Uh, now, what branch of the military were you in?
I was in the Army National Guard.
So were you married before you went into the Guard?
No, so I actually joined the Guard my senior year of high school. I was able to join the end of '87. For the spring of '88, I actually was able to attend drills, not in uniform, but just to watch and see what was going on. Right after I graduated high school in 1988, I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, where I did my basic and AIT training. And then from there, I spent another just about 5.5 years in service with the unit I was in. And I got out of the military in 94, like early 94, and we were married that summer.
So at some point in time, I couldn't find the year, but you enrolled at Martin Community College.
Yep.
All right. So when you enrolled that day, what was the plan?
The plan was to figure out the plan.
I can live with that.
I will be honest with you, Mike. I was not the most adept at being a college student. I will say that. I had other things that kept me busy. You know, dating my then girlfriend, now wife. We were on and off for a little bit. Ultimately, she realized that that this is the right thing to do. I love you, hon.
Yeah.
And we finally got on, and we were on and off for a little bit. But just two young people trying to figure out life, man. Um, I enjoyed a good party. I played in rock and roll bands, and I was involved in sports and other things. So, like I said, not the most adept college student you've ever seen. In fact, it took me 5 years to get an associate's degree.
That was my next question. Okay. Did you stay long enough to get the paper?
I did get a first level paper, and I decided at that point that I did not want to invest money in university to try to finish that the rest of that degree that may take me another 4 or 5 years, man.
Yep.
I just didn't have it in me.
I hear you. I hear you. All right. So you are in a band right now called Boneyard, correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right. So you are a guitarist?
I am.
All right. What kind of music do you guys play?
We classify ourselves as the harder edge of classic rock. Everything from sorry,
A what?
the harder edge of classic rock, and that's from the late '60s up through 2000s. So think your Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Whitesnake. But then we throw curveballs like the Eagles and Jethro Tull, and just different things, man. Try to keep it interesting. And we write original music as well.
Cool. I hope you do a couple of power ballads, get the people out there dancing.
Yeah, we absolutely do.
Mm-hmm. So how did this band come about?
So about 16 years ago, had a good friend, Scott Thomas, who's the drummer with the band Parmalee. Um, we had kind of been in the same circuits, musical circuits forever. We had gone to high school together. They were between my brother and me in age. I've got a brother that's 5.5 years younger than me. He and I have been playing in bands for years. Matt and Scott Thomas, they had been playing in bands for years. Unfortunately, they were at a show in Rock Hill, South Carolina, and in an armed robbery, our friend Scott was shot. Hit 3 times, hit the femoral artery down in his groin. They did not expect him to live when he got to the hospital. Underwent multiple surgeries over a period of, I think it was 40 days that he was hospitalized. And being a aspiring up and coming band, they didn't have insurance, so a lot of us musicians got together and did benefit shows and things like that. So we did a couple of those benefits. Dave Jones, the drummer in Boneyard, and myself at that point, we were just starting the band up, and that became a good project for us to be involved, kind of get our names out there. So we had our first lineup of that band then, and did a couple of shows. And honestly, man, it just stuck. So solid 15 years we've had this band together now.
And how much does it take for you to stand up and sing or play guitar when you're egged on by a crowd?
How much does it take? Nothing, man. That is one of the funnest things, other than spending time with my wife and kids. That is one of the funnest things I know how to do. I mean, I'll do it for 2 or 2,000. Doesn't matter.
Do you have a go-to karaoke song?
Man, probably Simple Man by Leonard Skinner.
Yep. Good call. All right, so let's talk about a couple things. Let's get back to work here. Obviously, you're
Sure.
very involved in your church.
I am.
So we
Uh,
we talk about building relationships, and a lot of people new to business think, oh, it's got to be in a structured professional environment. Everybody's got a name tag and a business card. And it's not, because you probably met people through your band career and your church life that have either become a customer or turned you on to a customer.
I absolutely have in both regards. Um, you know, for me, selling is a mindset. Everywhere I go into is an opportunity. I always keep an Eneco business card with me. If I go into anywhere, a restaurant, a doctor's office, a bank, and the air is highly humid in there or it's uncomfortable, I don't mind saying, "Hey, who handles your maintenance here at this site for you guys?" I'd really like to schedule an appointment with those people and help you out with this problem that I'm noticing right now.
Now, yep, when you and Laura go into a building, you're together doing non-work or anything like that, does she have to hear your critique of how bad their system may be because of X, Y, and Z?
If it's noticeable, if the atmosphere dictates a comment like that, then yes, she has to hear it. Or if I walk by a unit outside
Uh,
and it sounds horrible, I may comment, man, they're going to need to replace that soon. I'm going to drop off a card in this place.
and she's used to you saying, honey, give me a minute. I'm going to go ask the manager, whatever. But she's used to you doing that, right?
Yes, sir.
I imagine the first time you ran that by her, the look on her face was probably pretty good.
You know, it's been long ago that was the first time, so I don't really remember that, but she understands it's commonplace these
Oh, yeah.
days.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm with you on that. All right, so let's share some tips here. Somebody thinking about getting into sales or are brand new into sales. You've talked about the mindset. You've talked about selling you, and you're right. So for all the people watching and listening, at the end of the day, they're most likely buying you because you can find your we can find your competitors anywhere, but they're buying you. So the fact that Ronnie said that like 7 or 8 times, know that that's true. So what kind of mindset every day when they wake up, how do they challenge themselves if they've gone 36 hours here and nothing but no?
Um, you just have to accept the fact that most people are not going to be a one sale close.
Mm.
You will hear no a lot more than you hear yes. But no is not always no. What I find is no typically means right now. So somebody just getting into the business, I would encourage them to understand that until you're told I'm taken care of and I don't need you to provide this service for me. At that point, that's usually a pretty hard no. When I get no, my typical response is, okay, well, you obviously are being well taken care of now. It won't be a problem because I know things change. I'll put you on my calendar and reach out in 6 months, maybe a year, to make sure that you're still being well taken care of. And if you're not, and there's a way that I can step in and help you at that point, I'm more than happy to do that. If we're sitting in the same place, then hey, I'm glad that you're still being well taken care of. But you've got to be willing to, in my opinion, throw that on the table. If they don't want you back at the door, typically they'll say, that's not necessary. Thank you for the offer, but no thanks. Most people, when you say, I'll follow up with you in and designate an amount of time, they're okay with that.
Yeah, and I think they're not taken aback when you say basically, should anything change? Instead of like, here's my information, you got to call me, your people stink. You know,
Yeah, I
but the
won't do
minute
that.
you say, understand that, Mr. Manning, if anything changes, I'm just going to leave my card here if we can help in any way. I'm with you on that, and I wish more people would do that when they're out door knocking.
Yes, sir. It's, look, to me, it's an integral part of my business. Because like I said, you hear a lot more no's than you do yes. It is a rare instance when I walk into a place to say, hey, have you thought about the state of your HVAC equipment? Can I share with you the importance of proper maintenance on that, how it's going to improve your longevity and your efficiency in that equipment? It's rare that anybody says, and I've been waiting for you to come in. Where have you been? I need this and this and this replaced. Please give me a quote. And then I want you to come back and give me maintenance to cover all these brand new pieces of equipment. That doesn't happen.
If you, if today's, let's say tomorrow, since we're almost at lunchtime here, let's say tomorrow, you did your normal life of a couple of phone calls, a networking event, couple of pop ins, you do all the things you normally do, and you didn't close a deal and you don't feel like you moved anything that wasn't an absolute no any further, how do you know it was a good day?
Um, if I don't get asked to leave and not come back to a prospect or someone that I've been working on, that's a good day. Um, you know, as in BNI, referrals are huge. So if I've been calling on a customer for a bit and have not made any headway there, I don't mind asking them. I'll come up with names of businesses, much like we do at our BNI meeting. Say, hey, do you happen to know so and so at this industry or this manufacturing facility or this church that I could reach out to? Um, because what you and I have been talking about for a bit here, I've been doing some research there, and I really think I could be of some service to those guys as well. So I think if I find a way to expand my opportunities, it's been a good day.
I like that, and it's hard, but I mean the rewards are there, but it can be grueling if you're new to it and you've been told no for like a week and a half.
Yeah, it is. It is frustrating. The older I've gotten, you know, I did not step onto the sales playing field with that mentality. You know, early on, 30, 25 years ago, a week's worth of no's was a daunting thing.
Mm.
I'd wake up the following Monday like, man, why am I doing this? But as you become more seasoned and hone your craft, you understand that's just part of the game.
Mm. And once you realize that, you're better at your job, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because strength in any type of negotiation is willing to walk away. And if you
Yeah,
walk away and they're like, because you're right, no might just mean not today.
100%. And until I get a hard get out, I don't want to see you anymore. That is no for me. The rest of it is just not now.
Nice. I like that. All right. So we've been putting Ronnie's phone number up on the screen here. So you guys are in New Bern. You're in Greenville. Where else are you?
Our two offices are in New Bern. Our main office started in Greenville in 1987, and we expanded into New Bern last year.
All right. So if you live in that area or you're nearby, you need some help, we've been putting Ronnie's number up there. Please give them a call. They'll take good care of you. And if you're going into sales, just know the yeses will come. And when they do, they'll be worth it. But it's just getting through the first round of no's.
Absolutely. Be willing to earn those yeses.
Nice. I like that. All right, Ronnie, enjoyed the time today. Good luck with the rest of the season, not only your BNI group, but for Eneco East. And we're glad to have you on the show today.
Mike, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you, be on your program, and to get a little more knowledge about Eneco East out there. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, man, and I will see you Wednesday, and we'll see everybody else next week on Capital to the Coast, BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.